In case you didn't notice, she's smoking a little. We're color coordinated today. Look, we match. So the smoke is it's a little much. My project for today and probably tomorrow is going to be try to stop that smoking. I got valve seals. I'm gonna valve seals. I'm gonna put valve seals in this thing, umbrella style. And usually, at least what I've always been taught or known over the years, but honestly it's always failed me, is if it smokes on startup but clears up, chances are it's valve stems, valve seals. And very likely so, but like I just bloopered and said valve stems, it can also be that if there's excessive clearance in the valve stem and guide, then it would also smoke upon startup. And maybe the oil, it's sticky today. Maybe the oil's not going down the head fast enough. Of course, when I open it up to do the valve seals, we can fix that too. And I also have brand new valve cover gaskets because the valve cover gaskets are leaking like an oil tanker spill in the Pacific. I'm hoping once we fix the valve cover problem and the valve seal problem and maybe tighten up these valves because they're chattering a little bit. I'm not sure if they're solid lifters or not in this engine, but we'll find out. And once I fix all that, I'm hoping to slow down the bleeding because she's got a pretty good rear main leak as well. This is my plan. If the valve seals fix the smoke and the valve covers slow down the bleeding, then we're going to pull this engine out and we're going to fix the rear main seal. What you all probably don't want to hear is if it doesn't fix the smoking and doesn't slow down, well, I don't really care about the leak. We can fix leaks. We'll pull the engine out and fix the leaks. But if it doesn't fix the smoking problem, this motor's not going back in. And many of you AMC fans may cringe a little at this, but I don't have another AMC engine. And a 290 is probably not worth rebuilding. So if this engine won't stop smoking, she's going to get a Corvette 350. I've got a spare engine from my parts car Corvette, and since I've got a Chevrolet transmission Borg Warner Super T10 in this car anyway, I'm going to end up putting a small block Chevy in it. So don't get mad. It's what I got. If you want to donate a 343 or a 390 or even a 290 that doesn't smoke, great. I'll put her in. But until that day, she's going to get a small block Chevy if we can't fix the smoking. But we are going to give it a royal try and fix the smoke. If we fix the smoke, this motor's staying, we're going to pull her out, fix the leaks, put her back in, and enjoy her, because this is a good running little engine. She's just a little noisy and a lot leaky. So no more leaky. If we can fix all that, great. If not, she's going with Chevrolet. Sorry guys, but that's the plan. So keep your fingers crossed, and we'll keep her all AMC. Just for kicks and giggles, who's rooting for this engine to survive and we keep it? And who's wanting to see the 350 Corvette motor go in this thing? Show me your hands. Okay, few. Most of you want to keep this engine, so let's hope for the best. For whatever reason, there's two different size bolts. These are 7/16, and these are itsy bitsy teeny weeny quarter-inch or something like that. I don't really understand why AMC did that, if they did that. But we're going to pull this valve cover off and see what we got inside. Oop, we don't want to lose that washer. Time for this valve cover to come off. Got all the bolts out. I did drop the rearmost one, and it's down there somewhere. Hopefully we'll find it. Oh man, look at all this oil. The oil is not returning. It's not a good sign. Oh! The oil is definitely not returning. Golly, I've never seen. No wonder she's smoking. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that. Golly, years and years of neglect. I'm surprised she's still alive. Look at all the oil still sitting there. I did not expect to see that. But that is why, I can guarantee you why she's smoking. The oil is just sitting on top of those valves. So I got a bit of a mess now. Yay. But we're going to have to pull the plugs out at least one by one. Kind of need to get these wires out of the way if I can. Alright, now I'm going to get a screwdriver or something and try to open up these holes to help all this oil return back to the... I mean, these valves are just sitting in oil. That's crazy. The oil needs to go down. It's all clogged. This is not going to be pretty, folks, but let me get something to scrape that out and I'll show you. My guess is there's going to be a smoke show, and not the kind from the tires either. Oh my goodness. Golly, Sergeant Carter. Look at this. Oh man. Look. Can you see that? This is what's in that valve cover. Looks like a lump of coal. The oil is not circulating through this engine the way it's supposed to. I'm surprised it's running at all. So let's start digging all the crud out of here, clean up the oil holes, and I don't want to push this down in the oil hole, so we're going to try to dig it out as best as we can. But yeah, this manifold is soaked in oil right now, so when I get to... Golly, look at this. Good heavens. You probably can't see most of this, but I'm probably just going to throw it all on the floor because I've already got a gallon of oil on the floor anyway. But this is where your return hole is for your oil, and there's no way for the oil to go that way. So I'm going to dig all this stuff out of here. I'll show you a lot of it's just, oh my goodness, ending up on the ground. But we'll sweep it up at the end and kind of show you exactly where we've been and how we got there. Golly. I cleaned this out pretty good with a rag, best I could. I'm going to get a little degreaser here now, and I'm just going to try to degrease this as best I can. The problem with this obviously is it's going to get in the oil, but after doing all this we're going to change on the oil anyway. So here we are. I'm just foaming up really good, just painting this on. I'm going to wipe it back out with a rag. Obviously I can't wash it out with water, although I guess I could if I'm going to drain the oil anyway, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try to keep these solvents. That'll dilute the oil somewhat. But this is just plain regular degreaser. I'm not advertising any particular one. I just use whichever one's on sale. So the good thing about it is I've got these holes on the ends here that are supposed to drain the oil. They're actually, imagine that, draining oil. Took quite a bit of work though. I had to take a long screwdriver and hammer through it as best I could. And then I took a coat hanger and hammered through it the rest of the way. So, now this exhaust manifold is completely covered in grease and nastiness too, so I'm just going to give it a quick brushing as well. I dug all the sludge out with a screwdriver. Alright, now we'll get this exhaust manifold. All that's going to come off eventually anyway. With when it starts up, it'll be a smoke show for sure. But we don't want to do it too much here. So let's try to clean some of it off. It's gonna be ugly. And you think you got a lot of rooms to work sometimes until you try to get in here and actually do something. And you kind of realize you ain't got so much room. But there we go. Get that degreased. I was going to buy a can of spray degreaser, and then I thought, well, this would be a little less messy and use a lot less product and save some money. But this is what I could save. The rest of it ended up on the floor. That ain't nothing. It's probably 10 times more on the floor. I'm going to get a rag. Well, actually, I got a rag. And we're just going to kind of wipe all this, let it eat for a minute. And then we're going to wipe it out. Alright, it's been a few minutes. We're just going to start wiping this out. Because we're not in here to clean the inside of the engine so much as we are to just make sure that nothing's going to break off, get lodged in here, cause issues. That's starting to sludge up again with when I did that. I want to get all that out of there. Some more. That's going down into the hole. Which is going to happen because, man, that's where all the oil is going to go, so it's actually going to drag all this crap with it. Alright. Jeepers. This poor old girl was nasty. And that's why the newer oils that we have today have all the detergents in them, is to keep this from happening. The problem is, this didn't have to happen with the old oils either, because this is just neglect. This is just people not changing the oil in their car. I have opened up older engines like this and they're clean as a whistle inside. So this is avoidable no matter what kind of oil you use, but the cost of not sludging up these oils today don't have some of the things necessary to keep these old engines alive. Man, this rag is starting to feel mighty gritty. I don't think I like all that, and I can't believe this is all inside this engine. Golly. Man, this engine feels like it's got sand in it now, all this rag, which obviously is not good for an engine. So what we're gonna do is, after I'm done here with this project, we're gonna drain the oil. We're going to start it up. I'm going to add a little transmission fluid to the oil. So I'm probably going to go, I'm not going to fill it up 5 quarts either. I'm going to go, maybe, I think it's 5 quarts total, so we're going to do 4 quarts, or 3 quarts of oil. And man, this rag is gross. I'm not even going to use it no more. Probably do 3 quarts of oil, 1 quart transmission fluid. Run it for a few minutes to kind of flush all this crap out of there. Change on the filter and the oil again, and fill her up with some good stuff. And hopefully that will take care of this problem. This is just sad. It's very sad. After all this, I hope we can save this motor now, because I've done a lot of work. And you'll have to forgive me for being politically incorrect. Yes, I realize a motor
is electric. The Tesla has a motor, and this is actually an engine, internal combustion engine. There is a difference between an engine and a motor, I know. So for you people who've got to be politically correct, I'm sorry I called it a motor, it's an engine. But for you regular everyday guys, it's a motor. So, but you highly educated people will care. Or you know, automotive aficionados that have your big dollar concours cars. Which, hey, I admire you guys. I ain't got your money. Alright. Yeesh, now my rag feels all nasty. It's like sand in there. Alright, well now our next... let me clean that out. Next thing is we're going to go ahead and pull the spark plug. We're going to start with the back one because that's the hardest. We're going to pull that out. We're going to put some air in the cylinder, and we're going to pull these two rocker arms off. Which, you know, it's weird. Oh, there's a tight one. Look at that. We might have to fix on that a little bit. The rest of them feel pretty good. But there's only one starting to open. The rest of them are all kind of loose. We'll fix all that too. But we're going to go ahead and change the valve seals while we're at it. I'm going to go ahead and pull this last spark plug. I'm going to start with a hard one first. There we go. And we're going to need a... I probably should change these plugs while I'm at it, but we'll see how they look, because so far she's running okay in spite of all this mishap. And we're still not sure we're keeping this old girl. So get that plug out of there. Let's see. She's running a... Nope, that's oil. I was going to say she's running rich, but that's just oil in there. But she's running pretty darn good considering the oil sludge. You can see the oil around the outside of that plug. So what brand plug is this? Autolite. Hats off to Autolite. They fire in pretty oily conditions. So kudos to them. Now I'm going to go find my tool that has that thread, and we'll put that in the hole, put some air pressure to it, and we'll start pulling these. Well, I got to pull the rockers off, duh. Just so nothing falls in the spark plug hole, because we got a lot of crud kicking around from inside the engine. This is the tool. Comes off of a compression tester. You can buy just this piece with an air nipple on it. I have one of those too, but this is easier because it's flexible. This is just going to go in the spark plug hole, and on this end it has the ability to put air to it. So we'll just put some air pressure in the cylinder, and that will keep the valves from falling into the cylinder. So we're going to screw this into the spark plug hole. It's got a rubber seal on it, so that'll seal against the cylinder. Now sometimes this will cycle the engine when you put pressure to it. So I'll just leave it hanging for now. And I'm going to take these, both of these rockers are at just sitting there just barely touching, so that'll be easy to readjust them when we get done with this. I'm just going to pull these off of here. The car was a lot easier to work on when the hood was off it. Oh man. Well, the good thing about it is I could take these rockers and go soak them and get them up cleaned up nice with a wire wheel before I put them back on. So that's going to take a little time. But let's go ahead and see what these valve seals look like before I get doing all of that. First of all, let's see if these are clear. Basically, You just blow through them. And I can. So that means that that's not clogged up. So that's good news. We'll do that to all of them as we go, just to double check, make sure we're in the lifter. When we get back in there, there she goes. Do the same with this one. Yep, that was clear too. Sometimes you got to get down and dirty with your car. You know, if I'm going to do surgery on this old girl, I'm going to get a little blood on my hands. Man, that was not very tasty. Alright, now I got a special valve spring compressor just for doing it this way. You know, I had this engine out. It would have been a lot easier to do this with the engine out. But because for the sake of pulling this engine, we need to know if this is gonna fix the smoking or not. I think we probably will, because if the oil will go down like it's supposed to, we should be, you know, gotta talk with my hands. With the oil going down the way it's supposed to, we should be able to keep this car from smoking. Because if all that oil builds up, it's going to get around the valves, seep down the shafts, and make her smoke. If we fix all that, we've got a good chance of not smoking. Now I have two different kinds of valve spring compressors. There's this kind that you crank like this. Actually, I'll have it open and we'll crank it and close them, right? So, well, actually, nope, this is for overhead valves. Never mind, forget that one. Take two. Got this valve spring compressor, and what this does is you put these over the valve. This pushes down on the top of the retainer. This hooks to the bottom of the spring, and as you crank this up, it shortens the spring. But we've got to put air in the cylinder first, so then we're going to use this, and we're going to get that valve spring off there and see what we're looking at. See how bad those seals are. Egads, I can only imagine. I don't know how well you're going to be able to hear me once I put this on here, because it's going to hiss a little bit. Also, got a lawnmower running outside. There's bunches of noise going on right now. But you don't really need to hear what I got to say, because basically I'm going to hook this up, put air in it, and then I'm going to put my valve spring compressor on these, pull it up, and then I'll show you the results of the seal. Wow! She's holding pressure. That's impressive. That means this engine's pretty darn healthy. I don't hear any blow-by going by the rings at all. So that's super good news. The valves are sealed up tight. I think she's just got a sludge problem. Let's see what the seals look like. We'll put new seals in this baby. Maybe with a little luck, we're keeping GMC, right? We're keeping AMC all the way. Oh, we gotta wrestle with a bunch of crap back here. But once we get in here, we're in here. Here we go. Always start with the hardest one first. That way you got the easy stuff to look forward to. Alright, well, come on. There we go. We have engagement. Alright, she's... Now the hard part's getting the little clippy thingies out of there without them going into the engine. So you just turn this little wheel. I know I'm kind of in the way. You'll see in a minute. There we go. Now, push that down in there. I don't know if I got enough of it. I might have to take another bite. I don't think I can get them out of there with that. Nope. Have to get another bite. The unfortunate part about this is you have to get it all the way to the bottom. And there's so much crap here right now. hard to do. Since we're hooked into the spring right now, once I get loose, I'm just going to spin this on the spring until it tightens up on its own. Come on, girl. There, I think we're... Did I say this was going to be easy? I got the valve compressed. Now I'm going to try to break it free. Hopefully the keepers won't go flying. A bunch of my hammer falling into the engine. We don't want that. I think, nope, she's not broken free yet. The spring is definitely off the seat. So we're going to bang on that a little bit until we get her to come free. Got a little magnet here. I'm going to try to fish these keepers out of here with the magnet. Come on, baby. Here we go. There's one. Don't fall. Magnet's the best way because you'll fumble finger it otherwise. So let me see if I can get this other one to come around. The moment of truth, I got the keepers out. We're going to pull this valve spring off of here if I can. She's kind of stuck on there. Oh, there we go. Come on. Come on. There we go. Well, there you go. That's the valve spring compressed in the valve spring compressor. Now let's take a look at these. Well, that's funny. Well, the little O-ring one on the top is still somewhat intact. But this part right here was very, very loose on the valve. In fact, it's kind of like, you know, wobbly, wobbly, wobbly. So this was doing nothing. Not to mention it's still a little pliable, but this hole was not even close to holding on to the valve stem. So we're going to go ahead and put our new ones in there with a smaller hole that fits tight, and hopefully that's going to solve our problem. Just for kicks, we'll show you the new one and the old one. Can you see the difference in the hole size? Yeah, big difference. This thing is all worn out. So folks, it's so far looking shiny on the saving this engine. So let's push this new seal on here. Man, this just snuggers. Oh. There we go. Come on, there we go. Alright. Make sure there's no shrapnel. There we go. And then we can put the spring and the keepers back on. Putting the keepers back on is a little more difficult than taking them off, because taking them out, we just use a magnet, right? But putting them back in, we got to use our fingers. So, see how nimble our fingers are. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Let's see. maybe we can go ahead and use the magnet. I'm going to do a joint effort. I'm going to put the keeper on the magnet like so. I'm going to use a screwdriver to push it off. So I'm just going to put it in here carefully. Of course, when it's magnetized, it wants to stick to everything. There we go. Now we just hold it down, pull the magnet away. Keepers are in place. Now, simply bring this up, catch them in, and then just take your valve spring compressor back off. And this is the hardest one. I purposely did the hard one because that gives me the easier ones to look forward to. So there's a lesson for those of you who want to attempt this. Always do the hard things first. Because if you do the easy stuff first, all you get to look forward to is the hard, crappy stuff. But there you go. We've got the hardest one in the bunch done. And if you wear glasses, yeesh, I highly recommend you wear them when you're doing this, because otherwise you can't see. Great. Drop my magnet. Okay. Well, there's not a whole lot of sense in letting y'all watch every single valve, because you're going to watch me do the exact same thing 16 times. Well, 15 now. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish doing this, and we'll put the gaskets on the valve covers. We'll put everything back together. We'll see if she smokes. But for now, I'm just going to finish that up off camera. I thought I'd show you some stuff. After struggling with this little wheel on here, as you could probably see, hopefully you could see, doing that first valve there, I decided to make things better. Yeah, inventions, rigs, redneck engineering, what do you want to call it? But I welded a socket to the top of this little contraption, because normally you just spin the wheel, you know. But now I can put my pneumatic dealie, well, my electric dealie, my automatic dealie, my whatever you want to call it, or just a regular ratchet, and I can just zing, 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 right? I don't have to sit there. So welded a ratchet to the top of that just to make things easier. I can put an automatic on there, or just a ratchet, however I want to do it. I'm going to try the automatic thing and see if that works. But if it's too aggressive, then we'll just go with, you know, regular ratchet. But still, heck of a lot easier than this. But if I'm in a tight spot where I can't get a ratchet in there, I still have the wheelie dealie, right? So that works out really well. Invention number 2. The rocker studs are, how can I put that? Gummed up. They are gummed up so bad that when I tried to tighten, because they're just a tiny bit loose, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit loose. So I was going to try to snug them down just a tidbit, right? I don't know if I have a solid lifter cam, so I've got holes in the push rods. So that says to me, probably not solid lifters. So I need a tiny, tiny bit of preload, if you will, but I don't want to overdo it. So I'm probably just going to bring them down to 0 lash and leave them there, because I don't know the condition of this cam. I don't know the condition of anything in this engine. It's 1968 engine. I don't think it's ever been inside of. So we're just not going to push our luck. I did that with the Corvette, and as you know, if you've been watching this channel, we're now putting a cam in it. So I'm not going to do that again. And I don't have a problem putting it. If this engine runs good and she stops smoking, I'll be more than happy to throw a cam in it. I'm happy with this little 290 if she'll just do what she's supposed to do. But anyway, invention number 2. I have, I guess I should probably show you one so you kind of know what I'm talking about. So just hang on a second. I have El Cheapo taps. Okay, I bought these 300-400 years ago. I think the whole set probably cost me $6. And this is back I mean, probably when I was like 20, if that old. And I still have them, most of them, and they still work. I wouldn't go trying anything like really hard with them. But just cleaning the junk off of these studs, these will be more than adequate. But here's the problem. It's round. It's completely round. There's no way to grab a hold of it. And you can't get a tap handle. I mean, it's got a little tap handle with a set screw. But you can't get a tap handle in between the rocker studs. It's not going to happen, right? And you can't get the long ones like you can with if you put a tap in it. You know, you can put those long kinds and they get a little extension on it. But dies are a little bit different because, you know, you got to grab a hold of it somehow. So, genius that I am. Okay, well, no comments there. I know I'm not a genius. In fact, quite the opposite most of the time. But anyway, I took a socket and I ground the corners off of this socket, of this die, until it got nice and snug inside that socket. I had to actually do a little tappity to get it in there. So it should stay put pretty good. It ain't coming out without me banging it out. I didn't really want to use a 1/2 inch socket for it because I don't want to put a lot of pressure on this by any means. But I mainly did this so that I could at least get something on there. And I wish I had a palm dealio, but I don't, not for a 1/2 inch drive. So we're just going to have to go real gentle. You know, have to be delicate with it. But this should help. I would have rather gone with a 3/8 drive or even 1/4 inch drive, but that's way too big. So this is what I'm going to have to deal with. I actually have an adapter. I could put the 3/8 drive on there, or the 1/4 inch. I've got enough adapter. Just stack them up. So I have a way if I need it. But there you go. There's my 2 inventions. So if you ever want to, do this kind of job, you know what kind of inventions to use, right? Anyway, thought I'd show you that. Now back to pulling springs and putting in, valve seals and little retainer clippy dings. But I thought I'd show you that. I fear this side is not going to be as easy as the other side, mainly because of all this. I may have to take this heater hose out of here. I may have to take a few more things apart than I did for the other side, but for the moment I'm going to go ahead and take this valve cover off as well because I'm going to clean them up and throw a little paint on them, try to make them look nice. I think I might have a little bit of AMC blue left from another job, and so we're going to paint them up and make them look pretty. I'm a big advocate for when you take something apart, when you put it back together, you put it back together looking better. Although the patina on this is kind of cool, I think I'm still probably going to throw a little painty on there. But I need to find my extension that seemed to have set down and lost somewhere, and get this valve cover off of here and get this soaking in some fluids and see how bad this size is too. Now, my friends at AutoZone, I guess they know I'm messy, so they provided me with all these several rolls of these blue paper towels, which I am going to jam all over the exhaust manifold here to try to catch some of this oil when it comes out. If it's half as bad as the one on the other side, this is going to be a mess. Now this side doesn't look like it was leaking as badly, so it is possible that this side isn't all clogged up like that one was, and maybe that's why this one wasn't smoking either. But I figure while I'm in here, I am going to go ahead and do both sides, put new valve seals on both sides, and hopefully that's going to fix our problem. So thank you to my friends at AutoZone for providing these blue towels, and see just how much mess I make. Alright, that will help a little anyway. Try to keep, I swear there's at least a quart on the floor from the other side. That was insane when that they got that one off of there. I hope I caught it on camera. I won't know till I edit all this, but this time we're going to try to avoid some mess. It's not a real echoey in there when I was talking. Here's the moment of truth. Whether or not this is going to leak all over the place like the other one did. It is not. This one was not all stopped up like the other one. Figures, we come prepared and it's not stopped up. And we come unprepared and it is all stopped up. Although we are caught up on every single thing we could possibly be caught up on. But we're getting it. So this side, I don't have to worry about a lot of sludge. For whatever reason, it was just on that one. And what are we catching up on now here? Here we go. We're hung up on something right here. Come on. Between the... What the heck is caught up on this thing? Weird. It's like it's hanging up on something, but I can't see what it's hanging up on. It's not, maybe it is that. I don't know. Oh, I see. I think I see. There we go. Believe it or not, it was hanging up on this gasket. This is like rock. Oh my Moses. It won't even, look at that. It's like rock hard. So even if it wasn't leaking, definitely needed a new gasket. But there is some sludge in here. We're going to go ahead and clean it out. And I'm going to soak these in a solution, see if I can't get those cleaned up. Alright, this is the last one on this side before we go to the next one. And ooh, I'm making a mess. Get ready to put the valve seal in. This is the new one. I'm going to go dip it in oil so it's got some oil on it. Alright, it's always best to have a little oil on stuff, keep it slippery, you know. And I'm just going to put this new one on there. This car, this engine I should say, has good compression. Every time, I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted by the compressor, is every time I put this to a new cylinder, it's moving the engine. It's making the engine turn over. So she's got good rings, because otherwise I've done engines that had bad rings. You can hear them bleeding past the rings when you put pressure to it. These are not doing that. So it's got good compression. The cam, however, is wiped. The cam is just shot. These are non-adjustable rockers. They just bottom them out. And that's, so there's no way I can adjust these in any way. I thought about doing it by grinding the bottom of the little doodahs, little half moon things, but nope, I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to put it back together the way it was. And if we have cured the smoke, I'm going to pull this engine, I'm going to do the rear main seal, and I'm going to go ahead and throw a camshaft in. Because that, if she's not smoking, then she's deserving of a new cam. And for the $100 and something for a new cam, it's well worth it. I actually have another one of these, but seized up, but I'm not going to put an old cam in it. I'm going to try to find a new one. We're going to put a new cam and lifters in this bad boy, and see if we can't revive this engine back to new. Brandy GNU. But this is the last one here. I'm going to go ahead and slide this. I've got my, you saw me put the seal on there. This is the hard part. I hate this part. because it is very difficult. I have figured out that I can get my fingers in there if I'm really careful. I hate doing it that way though, because if I drop it, it's gone forever. But I can get my fingers in there, and well, I could get my fingers in there. For some reason it's not cooperating now. Just because I'm showing you now, that's why. Oh, geez. Yep, that's only because you're sitting here watching, and now I've completely lost it. So let's get my magnetic back out here. And pick it back up. Well, I've lost it. Here it is. This is a bad one to drop it too, because the oil return line is right there. So if I drop this and it goes down that, it is gone forever, and we are foobarred. So, very, very careful not to do that now. I don't believe that is sus, to be honest with you. It doesn't look good. I know what's going on here. Just because you're watching, I've done a whole bunch of other ones that I wouldn't have any. Oh, I know what's going on. The old valve seal is still in here. The small one. They have a, there it goes. This is what was stopping me. Let's see if I can get it to come out. Here we go. Jeez. This is the top seal, which I'm not returning in. This thing is crispy critter. That's what was stopping me from putting the keeper in there, because that actually goes in these little grooves at the top here, and makes the top of the valve spring act like somewhat of an umbrella itself. But when you use these umbrella style seals, they're not necessary. In fact, I'm not even sure if I could buy them, but they make everything a pain in the hooscow. I just use these umbrella style, and it's, you know, better. It's better. Oh geez, come on now. There we go. See if I can get this one in. I was using the magnet to put these in, and that's not a bad idea, but it makes it kind of hard for the magnet. There we go, they're both in, because the magnet sticks to it. You gotta get it to let go. Put this back, just unscrewing this again. That way it puts the spring back in its seat. I just thought I'd show you this last one, just because that first one I did was way, way, way back there, and this one's like right up in your face. My head was probably, well, maybe not. I don't know if my head was in the way the whole time or not. We'll find out, I guess, when I edit it. But that's all 8 of these. They are ready to go back together. I'm going to leave it open until I get the other side done. The other side probably doesn't need to be done, just because it's not smoking at all. And but I'm going to do it anyway, just because I'm a glutton for punishment. And if these were that bad, the odds are those are too. For whatever reason, the guides might be in real good shape or something. But this engine's holding good compression, so I am not opposed to putting a little bit of money into it. I just want to see if we can stop the smoking by doing this. If we can, then we'll pull this engine out, fix the rear main, and put a camshaft. I could put a cam in with it in the car too. We'll see how bad the rear main is, and once I get the valve seals fixed and that non-draining valve cover, because it was leaking like a broken Hoover dam out the back of the valve cover too, because I mean it was doing the job it wasn't never meant to do. So we're going to see just how goodish this engine is once we get these valve seals in here, get everything cleaned up, put back together, run it. If the smoke's gone, we'll drive her a little bit, probably the way she is, because she does run and drive pretty decent, believe it or not, just not a whole lot of power. And we'll eventually, once we get the other projects back on the road, we'll go ahead and pull this engine back out and throw the cam and rear main in it. So that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. Started cleaning up all the
internal parts. Got a lot of my rocker arms lined up here, all the balls for the rockers here, my nuts for the rockers here, a couple of studs that came out we got to fix, and then I'm working on the push rods. I'm just going to clean the outside up. I've already cleaned it with the solvent, but now I'm just going to go ahead and run a wire brush on them and clean them up nice, get even this coating off of there, because it's just I don't think it's a factory coating, but see how it's shiny in one spot and not in the other? Well, that'd be what I'm getting rid of, but I'm making them look like brand new, and then we're going to blow some air through here and make sure that they're all allowing oil up. That's what I'm working on now. Then I'm going to go back over to the parts cleaner, and I'm going to start cleaning up the valve covers and any other. I think I got a few more rockers still up in there, and anything else from internal that needs to be cleaned up. I'm cleaning up so it's like putting brand new stuff even though it's not brand new. So here we go. Figured I'd bring you in a little closer for this.
Just got some acetone because that degreaser, it seems to leave the film on my hands and turn my nails black. So maybe if you use such a thing, you may want to use gloves because that ain't coming off. It looks like I'm going gothic. But so maybe I'll just put a little bit of black lipstick to make it look totally gothic. And that way I'll fit the bill. But anyway, we're going to take a little bit of acetone, put a full. We're going to wipe down this valve cover just to get any of the residue off. Now if you'll notice, it seems to have a little bit of rust right here. And with me and my rust treatments, right? So I'm going to go ahead and spray it down with a little rust treatment, which is going to slow me down because I'm not going to be able to paint today, which is kind of what I wanted to do. This one I could paint. No, it's got a little bit of rust too, so I mean, I'm not trying to make this car look brand new anyway, but we want the paint to stick. We're going to wipe it real good. We do want to save on this engine if we can, right? I might be doing all this in vain because this engine might be coming out. But for now, there we go. The reason I'm using acetone is because it dissipates very, very quickly. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it right here. Is I'm just going to lean the valve cover down here for a minute. I'm going to cover up the rocker arms and such with this towel, just like so. And then I'm going to put my valve covers right back here. This one I'm going to tip it up a little bit and see if I can stick something underneath it and give me a little bit of a anglage so that I can. This will work, I guess. Yeah, that works just fine. All right. Put this one here so I can get to it nice and nice. I want to angle that one up a little bit too, but not near as much. And a little more than that. That's good enough. Alright, now I'm just going to get some of that phosphoric acid, which I have right here. Got it handy. We're going to spray it on the rusty spots. I have been breathing all sorts of chemicals today. Now, tomorrow morning, just going to let it sit just like that. Tomorrow morning I'll wipe it down, wash it off, hit it with some rusty metal primer. I'm supposed to let the rusty metal primer sit for 24 hours as well, but in this heat, it's probably going to dry pretty quick. And then I'm going to hit it. I'm going to look and see if I have any of the AMC blue. I think I do. If not, I don't know. We don't want to go Chevy orange, right? And we don't want to go Ford blue. Don't do the F word, sorry. I know there's a few on my channel and I do fix them quite often. Because what is the saying? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If it wasn't for Ford, my tools would rust. Just kidding with you Ford guys. Don't take it personally. Well, you can't take anything serious from a guy with black nails, right? But anyway, I do like to tease you Ford guys, but I got some good friends. They love their Fords. Just good fun. It's good fun, so don't anybody get offended, please. But we're going to let that eat for a day. Tomorrow morning, we'll go ahead and wipe them down, paint them with some rusty metal primer, let it eat for a little while, and adhere and bond and seal. And then we're going to just hit it with some pretty color. I don't know, I'll figure something out. Maybe yellow. Oh, they were yellow, and it looked pukey. We're not doing yellow. Maybe black. Black's neutral, right? So we'll see what I got. If I do have some of the proper AMC blue, we'll do it. If not, black sounds like a good idea. Or brown. Nope. Red? Maybe red. Maybe black. Red I think is going to be... The car's yellow and black. Yellow and black. Maybe we'll do a little fancy work and put some, tiger stripes or something. Or bumblebee. Right? Maybe we'll put away a little fanciness. We'll see. Anyway. Who wants fancy? Who wants just plain? I think we might go fancy. If I don't have the right color. If I got the right color, we're just going stockage looking. But if not, we might do, you know, yellow and black. That would look good. Bumblebee stuff. That'd be cool. We might go with that. Well, we'll see. Unfortunately, even if you tell me what you want by the time you see this video, it'll be done. But, of course, I may do all that for fun because we may not be keeping this engine. So, make sure you shout really, 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 really loud when you're watching this at the end of this, because if this doesn't work out, when I go to fire it up, she's liable to smoke at first because there's a bunch of crap in the cylinders right now. But she has to clear up. Let her run for a few minutes and clear up. I'm not going to run it very long because there's crap in the oil. We're going to run it to wash everything out. We're going to change on the oil. But we'll see. If this engine's staying or going, we'll find out. If she stays, she's getting a new cam and a new rear main seal. And if she gets a cam, she's going to get new front seals too. Right? So let's see where it ends up. Keep your fingers crossed. Let's hope we can save on this motor. I'd really like to keep her all AMC. But if not, I'm going to have a really cool looking, you know, broken junk engine. Well, anyway. She seems to have good compression, just not to ramble on, but she does seem to have good compression. Like I said, when I was putting the air in the cylinders, it was turning the engine over. And usually you can hear it go hissing through the rings. It's not doing that. I think she's got good compression. I think the cam's just worn out. And she leaks, of course. So I think all the smoke was just valve seals, and the fact that once, because it was on the side that wasn't draining. So I think that the valve cover was just filling up with oil and getting above the valve seals. It's just drowning the cylinders. I'm amazed it was running like that. And the cam is so worn out, I'm amazed it's running as good as it is. So anyway, enough of that. See you tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning it'll be this fat, you know, well, anyway. And we'll start on the rest of this. But tomorrow morning is now. You can use 400 grit sandpaper, or you can use 400 grit 3M pad. This is a lot easier. We're just going to scuff it up a little bit. As you can see, it's leaving yellow dust all over the place. So am I painting it yellow and putting stripes? Ah, I was thinking about it, but I don't know what I'm going to do, because I've got some of the paint for the original color too, but I kind of like the idea of bumblebee stripe, so I'm going to go with a bumblebee stripe, I think, if I got enough yellow paint for that. But I got to scuff it first. So we're going to scuff it, wipe it, and then we'll see how much yellow paint we got. Ah! Sticky, sticky, sticky. There we go. I'll tell you what, that stuff I was washing with, make sure you wear gloves. It was not good. Not good at all. And fingers are still black. I think it damaged my nails a little bit. But I think I'll survive. Learned by my stupidity to use chemical resistant gloves.
Junk is it splashes all over the place.
But what do you all think about yellow with bumblebee stripes, black bumblebee stripes? We can always change it if y'all don't like it. Valve covers still have the identification tag on them. Here we go. I think that's good enough. Let's hit them with acetone one more time. Clean them off. Since I put my paws all over them. would take a tack rag and tack these, but this is a valve cover, not a car. So we're just gonna go with it. I was getting a little ahead of myself. We're actually still at the rusty metal primer stage. So we're going to just hit it with some rusty metal primer. Oh, great. I hate these nozzles. There we go. Because these are valve covers and not an automotive, auto body deal, I'm just going to hit it one coat. To seal it. I don't think there's going to be enough yellow. We're going to try. That's going to be a negative. So yellow is out. We're going to try blue. This is the original color blue that AMC comes with. But there's not much in here either, so I'm thinking we're probably going to go black. I got lots of that. Now I could stop by the store tomorrow and get black, but yep. Blue is out. Let's try black. I have the other valve cover sitting over here, and I'll move the camera when it comes. I just couldn't get at the back side real good, so I decided to go with this route. Oh, look at that. Black we have. There we go. Once you go black, you never go back. That's what they tell me. I'll be honest, I was kind of excited about the whole bumblebee concept. And I could go pick up another can of yellow paint, but it'd be really hard to paint over this black. And I was going to need black because I wanted to put a bumblebee stripe, but I'll move the camera, show you the other valve cover as I do that. These two studs came out when I was trying to get all this apart, and they're in the back here. Always the back ones, because it's going to be the difficult ones. Can never be the easy one to get to. That's just Murphy's Law. Gosh, Murphy must live here. Anyway, I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite. This is the red stuff that don't ever come off stuff. And we're going to put these two back in. They're stiff too. I don't know why why they came out, but they sure did. This engine's probably been together, you know, a day or two. So I'm going to do this. I got to go fetch a wrench. I probably should have got that first. But I'm going to zing those down in there. Those will be done, and then we'll start putting some rocker arms on. Battery's dying. Don't you love that? Change out the battery. I think this is like the 4th take I've had to make on just doing this one simple thing. There we go. Alright, yay, okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and start laying rocker arms in place. And these are non-adjustable. I made that little tool because I thought I needed to put more threads. And come to find out, it's actually non-adjustable. So we're not going to be able to fix the clattering of these valves. Like I said, it is a bad cam because they're not moving very much. So we're just going to get this car running, see if she doesn't smoke. If she doesn't smoke, it's going to be pull the engine, put a new cam, and fix the rear main. You know, I'd like to think I'm getting smarter in my old age. So I'm actually going to put a couple in the front here because, like I said earlier, there's not a lot of sense in showing you me putting rocker arms 16 times. So I'm just going to do these first few, first 1 or 2 anyway. You really don't want that wire in there. And that way, you know, I spare you. I could fast forward it and play music and what have you, but there's really not a lot of point in showing you me do the same thing over and over 16 times. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you 1 or 2 times. I've got this Lubriplate motor assembly grease, and it's just kind of a little better than just dousing it in oil because it'll stay put until you're ready to use it. And make sure you got a fresh tube. This one I think is only, you know, 20, 30 years old. So it's like brand new. But I'm just gonna, it looks really dirty, but it's not. It's actually super clean. It doesn't come off on your hands. But anyhow, always hold this over someplace where if you drop it, it goes away forever. And I'm just gonna put some grease on there and stick it in there. Ta-da! That was like extremely complex. So I'm going to show you again, just in case you didn't get it the first time. There we go. Right? Can you, I'm not, you couldn't even see me do that. So we're going to do it again, one more time. Hey, there's grease on there, right? I didn't even look at the camera to see if, so maybe I should show you 16 times, because you might actually get to see it at least one time. But anyway, here we go. Can I see you now? Now, can you see me now? There, I'm just going to take my brand new tube of grease and grease that up. Don't be shy, put plenty in there. And we're just going to stick her down on there. Now, I'm going to stop with those few. And we're going to tighten one down. And that way, you know, you'll know what to do in case you want to do it. I got that one in. Then we're going to need a nut or 2 or 3, because we did 3 of these, even though I didn't show you the first 2 properly. Now these nuts are a little bit nutty. They're round on the bottom, okay, and they're flat-ish on the top. They actually got a little divot in there. Why? I don't know. This is a crush nut. So basically, I don't know if you know what a crush nut is, but it means it gets narrow up here so it fits tight and doesn't back off. And some people put Loctite on these because these are going to bottom out. I'm not going to. Besides, they're a crush nut. So they should lock on there themselves. I'm going to get them down a few threads by hand because you don't want to cross thread these for no means. So there we go, and here's the one I actually let you see, because I didn't have a hand in the camera on the other ones. Oh, it's just not going to cooperate. There we go. Alright, and because these are non-adjustable rockers, you just basically bottom them out. There's no adjusting them. They're a hydraulic lifter, evidently. And so we're just going to zing them down, make sure they're torque-elated. Now, you can put a torque wrench on it, but, I mean, you can tell when something's tight. I'm sure there is a torque spec for it. And normally I would recommend doing torque specs, but since these are so worn, this cam is so worn, you know, it's not, nothing's going to spec out the way it's supposed to anyway. And that's the thing, people are sticklers for torque specs, and they're important, like if you're doing heads and stuff. But an old head bolt and a brand new head bolt are going to have different stretch factors. And the same with these are worn. These are, you know, if this was the first time I put these down and torque them, that'd be great. But since these are old and used, there's going to be so many variables that just tighten them up and we'll be happy. So let me get my wrench and we'll tighten those down. Now I'm not going to use my impact because I don't want to drive these down at 1,000 pounds. I'm just going to put them on with this. This thing I think torques to about 35, 45 pounds, something like that. And I think that would be just fine. What I did not mention before, and if I did, well, I apologize, I'm going to mention it again. I was not able to get the valve seal out on the last one in the back. Maybe I did mention it. So I left it because, again, we are testing to see if this fixes my smoking problem, and if it does, then we're going to pull this engine out. Either way, this engine's coming out, but we're going to put we're going to pull this out and put a new cam and everything in it. When I do that, I'll go ahead and replace that last one because it was smoking on that side anyway. So if this took care of the smoking, then we know putting in a rear main is worth taking the time to do and putting a cam in there. And I may or may not put a intake on it. We'll see what they cost. If they're very expensive, probably not. And we'll paint this engine up and make it look pretty this time if we take it out and do this again. And I might even put rods and mains in it, just because, you know, if it's not smoking, she's got good compression. She's well worth putting some money into. I just don't want to pull the heads and have the heads redone. And if I'm going to do all that, I've got a good running Chevy engine, and I know, like, you AMC people cringe, but hopefully this is going to work. So there we go. We're just going to torque these three down, and then I'm just going to move on off camera, get this done, and we'll put the valve covers back on and try it. And it's the, you know, it'll be the fire in the hole and the truth of the matter, and we'll see what we're doing with this engine after that. You hear it when it gets tight, tough like that. It's because it's hitting that part of the nut, the crush nut part that locks it. Now, see how loose they are even though they're tight? It's because, look, that's crazy, right? Scratch everything I just said. I am a complete idiot. Well, yeah, anyway. Hey, just goes to prove everybody makes mistakes, and for whatever reason, I just made a huge one. Yeah, well, you know. Thank God this is not a how-to video, because otherwise this would be how to make a fool of yourself on camera, you know. So how many of you out there can see what my mistake was? Not you, Leonard. I know you saw it. I could hear you yelling at your phone. But anyway, here we go. Let me show you what I did wrong. Oh, and actually, I actually missed a step, so we're going to have to go do that too. So here we go. For those of you who caught me being stupid, I do it a lot. At least I catch myself before I put the whole engine together wrong. Anyhow, I think as you get old, more falls out than stays in. But anyway, this is what we forgot. Anybody know what this is? If you do, great. If you don't, it's a push rod. They have a hole, like a lifesaver, in the middle. And what that hole does is it allows oil to run from the lifter through the top of the push rod into the rocker arm, and it keeps the rocker arm lubricated. So, because this engine was so gummed up, I want to make sure that these are not clogged up. So this thing's perfect because, see, fits in there just right. Okay. Now you got to hold on to it. It'll go like a rocket. So hold on to it, and I'm going to put my finger over the tip to make sure there's air going through, and there is. So I got to do this all 16 of them, and then maybe the rocker arms will do what they're supposed to do when I put them in. Sorry. So here we go. I'm going to do this 16 times. And in the words of the great prophet Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. I'll be back. Now I'm back to my grease here. I put the cart before the horse on the earlier part of this video. So, we're going to be back to this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to lubricate one end of it. Whoa, that was messy. And then we're going to stick it in here. We're going to make sure we're in the lifter. The way you do that is you just kind of, if you lift it up, you'll feel it kind of get into that little bowl, and it won't go anywhere. It'll seat itself in there. So again, I'm going to do this 16 times. And you may ask, why is that doing that? It's got all sorts. There we go. Yeah, just getting lubricant everywhere. All right, and just going to put this in the end just to keep it lubricated in the top of that lifter. I'll also put it on the top. Man, this stuff is just not cooperating. It's only 20 years old. It should be fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it up a little better. There we go. It's starting to separate a little, and that's the problem. I guess it does that over time. I don't know. There we go. Try that again. Nope, it's still gooey. There we go. Yeah, we're just going to do that 16 times. And then we'll go back to what we did already, only this time, it'll be the right way. Imagine that. And, just for kicks and giggles, there is no up or down on these. They just go in however. Alright, take 2, repeat of the same step, only this time we're going to do it right. We're going to set that on the push rod. Set our little disky thingy down in there. You like that technical term, disky thingy? And put these 3 back on the right way, if I can. They seem to be not as good as doing it the right way. There we go. Because now I'm getting this lubricant everywhere. It's like dog poop. It just gets everywhere. Yeah, have you ever used that anti-seize lubricant? That stuff, man, it just gets on everything. If you touch it, the whole world starts to turn gray. Alright, now, where we were before, only done the proper way. I'm going to sock them up. They should be a little different now. There we go. See, now she's pushing down on that valve a little bit. There, that one is too. Look at that. There we go. See how loose that one is though? And that's with the push rod in there. That's sad. That's very sad. But that's why she's chattering. That's what I was trying to show you before, only I didn't have the push rod in there at all. And that's actually bad enough where it can almost lose this push rod. So that's not good. That's why she needs a cam. But I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these rockers in on both sides. Then I'll get back with you all. We get these valve covers on, fire this thing up, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that we can save on this engine. I'm going to point out a little bit of craziness here. This rocker right here, I lost the nut for the rocker arm. I don't know if I lost it when I was cleaning it. I don't know if it fell out when I was removing them and I just lost track of it. I don't know if it fell out of the bucket. I don't know. It's just gone. It went into the abyss somewhere. So I went searching, found out that a rear end bolt for an 8 3/4 Chrysler fits perfect. So if you ever lose all of your crush nuts for your rocker arms and an AMC, you can steal parts from a Mopar. Surprise, surprise, from the rear end of a Mopar. So it's the crush nut that actually holds the axles in, I think. They're like all the same size on an 8 3/4 anyway, but it works perfect for a rocker stud. Also, over here on this side, if you'll remember, this particular rocker arm was super loose, and now it's not. And you know how I accomplished that? I put a small block Chevy push rod in there. Small block Chevy push rod was approximately 50 thousandths bigger, longer, and this had approximately 50 thousandths of play in it. And this is the one that was really clattering. So I went ahead and put that Chevy push rod in here, and I took up all that space. So there you go. You can use different parts. It's AMC, right? American Motors. Use whatever parts are available. So Chevy push rod, Mopar rear end, nut. Delco Remy, yeah, well, we got lots of foreign parts, and we got a Chevrolet transmission in it too, right? So, but they did use BorgWarner Super T10s in these, so nobody penalized me for the Chevy training. It is what they put in them. So, anyway, I wanted to show you that. Now we're going to go ahead and put the gaskets on the valve covers, and I just wanted to show you that because a lot of people, well, I'll explain it as I go. A lot of people's misconceptions are you need a ton of Permatex to make your valve covers seat and seal. But really the gasket does the sealing. You don't need to contaminate the gasket with tons of RTV. Now these actually have little retainer nibs on them, and so do these gaskets, okay? So really you don't need to put any Permatex on these at all. But for the valve cover, because I'm going to have to finagle and everything else, I am going to put a tiny bit along the outer edge of these valve covers, and that will ensure that my corners will stay put when I'm trying to finagle it on, because I got to go under wires and, you know, all that stuff. But other than that, I'm not going to put any Permatex on the other side of the gasket where it seats up against the head, because again, the gasket does the sealing, so Permatex is just going to compromise that. And you know, especially with rubber gaskets, you never want to put Permatex on a rubber gasket. Maybe a little in the corners just for an adhesive, if you will. And in reality, you could just use a adhesive, you know, gasket adhesive, and that would work out pretty good. But I'm going to put just a thin coat along the outer edge, especially in the corners, and then I'm going to put these little clips in, and then we're going to put it on with no Permatex at all on the outer surface of the gasket, because it'll do a fine job all by itself. So here we go, just going to put a thin coat. Get those Permatex boogers on the end of your tube here. Put a little bit heavier in the corners, just because that's where I need it to stick most, because there is a clampy thingy right here close to the corner. Actually, AMC was kind of knowing what they were doing when they built these valve covers. You know, they know where they're going to come apart and where the gasket's going to fail. there's some things, they also, what people may not know, a little trivia for you. AMC blocks have a higher nickel content than many others. I think Oldsmobile was another one. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but I know it for a fact that AMC did have high nickel blocks, and that made them stronger. And if you've ever taken one apart, like for example this engine, there's really virtually no blow-by. And for it to have as many miles as it has, which I can't remember how many it is, but it's a lot, you know, and not have blow-by, that's pretty amazing, you know. And it's because the blocks are so hard that they don't wear. Now your valves and all that's going to wear. I don't know if the heads, I'm assuming the heads must be high nickel content too. Could be wrong. So the guides should last a good long time. So the weak link on this engine is obviously the camshaft, which we kind of, sort of, half butt way fixed it with a Chevy push rod. At least one valve. I didn't go through all of them and put different push rods in. I suppose I could, but like I said 398 times in this video, this is only to see if we can stop her from smoking. See if we can stop her smoking habit. If we can stop her smoking habit, then we're going to yank this engine and we're going to fix her drinking problem, because she's obviously drinking a lot of oil. So if we get her to quit smoking first, get her to quit drinking second. Why am I doing that? Okay, that's easier. And then, so we'll take her out, get her to quit drinking. We'll put a new camshaft in her, basically give her a new set of lungs. Because of all that smoking and drinking, that's, you know, hurt her lungs a bit. That's basically what we're going to do here. And I don't know about you all, but we're getting awfully close. And it's Monday, but it's my last Monday of my vacation. I put out a couple of videos during this vacation, and I'm tired. I've worked a lot this weekend. I've done, what you haven't seen is, I had to fix my tractor. The starter went in the tractor, so I had to order one of those, and that's been a fiasco. I had to pull a brake booster out for a customer out of an S10. That's no fun. I can tell you that right now. If you ever have to do a brake booster on an S10, don't call me, because I don't want nothing to do with it. It was horrible. And I literally tore all the insulation out of the truck and everything. Whew, it was horrible. And as you saw the video, I charged up the air conditioner and replaced a line on my Sonoma. And, you know, here we are trying to get the Gremlin done on this weekend too. I was hoping to get to the Corvette this weekend, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But, you know, we'll take what we got. The Corvette will be next week, God willing. I also did go and pick up that mystery car I told you about. So we got to do a will it run on that, because it doesn't run. And then we got a whole lot more work to do to it. It's a friend of mine's vehicle, and he's actually his father that sold me my Sonoma. But you know, I'm going to do him a favor. He's a friend of mine. He was a career Marine. He has recently retired. So thank him for serving our country. And he's also a very good friend of mine. And I'm going to start working on his car. He wants to restore it a little at a time. And so we're going to do that on YouTube for your benefit, and for his as well, of course. So anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm taking these little tabs that I told you about, and they fit into these tabby doo-doos on the valve covers. Now, obviously the company that made these gaskets, which is Mahle, M-A-H-L-E, they didn't quite put the tabs in the right place, because they're making the gasket buckle a little bit. But it is what it is. So, but there you go. See, I'll notice I'm not putting any of the silicone on the gasket itself, other than what's on my fingertips by accident. So gasket just seems to be a tiny bit oversized. But, you know, it's probably made in China like everything else. Not that I have anything against our Chinese brothers, but the fact, you know, it's a known fact that most of the stuff, not all, but most of the stuff that comes from China is just not of the same grade quality as stuff that's made in our country and or Germany. I don't know if you, any European fans out there, but Swiss watches, right? They're the best, right? Better than ours. Swiss watches rock. Okay, now I think smart watches and stuff are all made in Japan. The Japanese, they got it going on, right? The Swiss, but they make stuff, it's got to be perfect. They're not putting it out, right? Germans, they're like overcomplicated, and knock on wood, my Beamer's been very, very good to me. So I can't complain about German engineering at all. My wife's car is also German. It's been good to her. So far, of course, I can't say my American cars are anywhere near a comparison because they're all old. Okay, but if you'll remember the videos on my daughter's Cadillac, sweet, sweet car, well built, well put together. One or two things that are a little bit weird on it just because of newer technology, you know. But I'll tell you what, never never hesitate to buy a Cadillac. That car is an '07, and it is like a brand new car, minus the deer damage in the front. You know, no car looks good after hitting a deer. Sorry. But yeah, that car is fantastic. So, and the fact that most of my American cars, that little S10, 268,000 miles and still going strong. The Beamer's not really a good comparison because she's only got 80,000 miles on her, 80 something. So that's really not fair. Even though she is 25 years old, she doesn't have a lot of miles on her. So, you know. But anyway, I think anything is good. You know, I don't know what your preference is, mechanical wise. Swiss watches. Or Japanese-made smartwatches. Smartphones, right? Who came up with a smartphone? Chevrolet technology, it was better in the old days when it was simple, if you ask me. But I guess they're getting better. But Mopar in the 80s, yeah. And or probably early 90s. Total turds, right? Total turd muffins. The K car, come on. Okay. But Chevy came up with the Pinto. Oh, no, sorry, that was Ford. Ford came up with the Pinto. Chevy came up with the Vega. They've all had their lemons, and you know, Gremlin. I got like one of the all-time lemons, but we're working on it now. But anyhow, enough talking. You could just, you know, if you want to throw in the comments what your favorite make, model of car is, and you know, we'll throw stones at each other. You know, I like Chevys, I like Mopars, love the Cadillac, right? That's probably, in my opinion, probably the best car I got in this yard. Not because I do like the CTS, but it's a good running, knock on wood, vehicle. And you know, just let me know what your favorite is, because that would make some interesting reading, right? So many people have so many different opinions. The Crown Vic, I can remember at one of my jobs, you know, they were coming out with Chargers for everybody, and yet a lot of the guys still preferred their Crown Vics. I don't like a Crown Vic, not necessarily because it's a bad car, but because the seats are so big. You slide around in them. You know, I ain't a big guy. I think they were great for cops because, you know, cops have that expanding waistline when they get, after they've been sitting in that car for 15 years, you know what I mean? So, no offense, guys, I know, I apologize, I mean, you know, all respected. But, you know, in reality, if you ain't got no Blatissimo, you slide around in them big chairs. You know, so I like the little sports cars. They get that tight little bucket for you to sit in. But anyhow, enough of that. Let's get these valve covers on. Always, I start with the hard one. Had I known this side was going to be this difficult, I would have done this side first. When I started the video, I started over there and thought that back one was going to be rough, but in this one, back one I couldn't even get to. But I'm going to put this valve cover on first because I got to finagle around all of this crop. And I've even got a coat hanger sitting here kind of holding these wires up for me. So I'm going to try not to pinch anything. And these are idiot proof. I like to use that word because it simply means that you can't mess it up. These have 2 bolt holes on the top, and they have 4 on the bottom. Make sure we got no wires getting pinched in here. But see, that goes on nice because I put all that, I got all that Permatex only on the back side. I'm not making a big mess with everything. I'm double checking, making sure I don't have any. Uh-oh. Oh, I scratched my paint. Dadgummit. Now it matches the rest of the car. Perfect. Alright, now, I even took the time to paint my little half moonies. And I'm going to put, oh, something's wrong. Because there's no hole here. What the heck? There's absolutely no hole. Huh! How funny is that? I just noticed that. This gasket does not have a hole. Come on. It doesn't have a hole in the corner. They forgot to punch the hole in this corner. See that? There's no hole there. They never even punched it. Unbelievable. I wonder if the other one's like that too. Well, stand by while I go punch a hole. Take two. Now we have a hole. The little half moony thingies, which are basically washers. And the fact that they put these itty bitty teeny tiny, I don't know what they are, they're like 5/16, quarter-inch nuts, bolts, whatever. It's funny, they've got bigger ones for the top, but they've got these little bitty, I think they were what, quarter-inch? What were they? Yeah, quarter-inch. They're quarter-inch. That's incredible. Why they did that, I don't know, but maybe so you don't over-torque them. Now, you always want to put all of your bolts in before you tighten them down, because that way it allows for movement in your valve cover when you're tightening things down. I don't like the way that one feels. We like to cross thread these things. There we go. That feels better. Alright. Oh, so you got to be careful not to torque them down when you feel like the threads are not quite meshing the way they should. I still have one spark plug wire off. Now, that one felt good. What I like to do is just kind of run them down until they snug. Now that one's not snugging either. There we go. And then just back them off a little bit. That way I know I've got them in there and they're right. But they're not tight yet because I may have to adjust things here and there. I half expected to lose one of these, and oddly enough, I did. I didn't even know I lost it when I was hunting for the nut for the rocker arm underneath the car. I actually found the lost bolt that I didn't know was lost. So anyway, there we go. I'm gonna finish putting these in, then we'll go to the other side. I'll let you watch me struggle with that one. That one shouldn't be too bad, but no sense in you sitting here watching me put 10 of these things in either. So I'm gonna spare you that. But I'll be back in like an hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that.
I wish you all the best. I can't deny. Stop myself.
is going to be the moment of truth. Going to turn on the key. Now, if you remember, we've got some contaminants in the oil. So I'm going to only run it for a short period of time. And I'm going to let it run long enough to see if it's going to smoke, because normally it smokes on startup. I still expect it to do that because I let it sit for a period of time before I started this project. So there's probably still some oil in the cylinder. But after it runs for a minute, it should clear up. I'm only going to run it long enough to see if she's going to smoke for any length of time. Then I'm going to change the oil, and I'm going to spare you all that, because changing the oil is, changing the oil. So here's the moment of truth. This is, the old Clash. Should it stay or should it go now? Should it stay or should it go now? If it smokes, there will be trouble. But if it don't, then it gets Chevrolet. So there you go. That's my singing career for now. But that's what it's boiled down to. If she smokes and doesn't stop, she won't be getting an oil change. She'll be getting a yank job. I'm going to yank it out, and we're going to go Chevrolet. I know a lot of you are going to no! I don't really want to do it either. There's a part of me that does, but there's a part of me that doesn't. I like AMC, and like I said earlier, they've got high nickel blocks. They're indestructible engines. So I will gladly throw a camshaft at this, gladly pull it back out, and put a rear main in it. But I found out a lot of the oil I was getting was coming from the valve covers because they were filling up like a swimming pool. So we fixed that problem. We've got new valve seals in it. It looks promising. So no smoke. We continue to work on this engine. Smoke, she's coming out. Well, she's coming out either way, but she's going to go back in if there's no smoke. And we're going to put a Chevrolet motor. And I'm sorry, like I said, unless one of you all wants to donate a 343 or a 390, I just am out of resources. And it's really foolish for me to go out and spend money on another engine for this car and or to rebuild this one when I have a perfectly good Chevy Corvette engine sitting over here in the corner doing nothing. So there we go. And I think I mentioned before, because I went to that swap meet, I think that's the same video. I can't remember. I started this video like over a week ago. But I did buy some more big block stuff, so if the engine in the old red Corvette decides she wants to go south for the winter, I've got options. So I've got a whole nother 454. It'll need remachining, but overall should work. So here we go. Let's start her up, see if we got smoke. Well, that's not good. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on.
Some smoke! Yeah! Woo! Uh-oh. Well, that was a short celebration. Hello? I'm seeing water. That might be... No. Nope. Well, wait a minute. That side never smoked before. Let's let it run again. I'm going to get off fully past the job. Well, I was really happy there for a minute, but I guess it's another fail for me.
get tired of failure. But nope, keep trying. So anyway, I'm gonna watch the call now. But it's running better than ever. It's revving up real nice. Sounds awesome, right? Thing's running better than it's ever run. But he's a chain smoker. Well, I don't know about you. I'm disappointed. I thought for sure we were going to fix this problem. Those valve seals in such bad shape. Tightened up the valves a little bit, got rid of all that rattling under the hood. She was a little stubborn starting this time, but man, she sounds good now. But she's a smoker. And she's a drinker, dripping oil all over the place. We knew that. But there's no sense putting more time and more money into this old girl. As much as I hate to do it, I guess she's going to get Corvetteized. I'm going to put that Corvette motor in here. I guess I'll be calling my buddy to get that flywheel off it. So far, I don't even want to count. We've had how many failures? Late. Keep hoping it's going to clear up. Yeah, come on. At least she's mobile again. I'm going to get the other engine on the stand. I'm going to put new gaskets in it, new rear main seal before we put it together. I got to put a flywheel on it anyway. Clean it up, paint it up, get it ready. And we'll go back to the Gremlin. In the meantime, she's mobile. I've still got that revival I got to do on my buddy's car. Sitting for as long as the Sonoma has. What's that? 12 years-ish. Dang, that's disappointing. No change. Runs better. No change in the smoke. I'd live with it if it was just this bad. But when we rev her up, it gets really bad. Up till this point,